This is breaking news, and it may be the most jaw-dropping chapter yet in the story of Prince Harry's fall from grace. The charity he built from nothing, the one he named in honor of his mother, the one that was supposed to be his legacy, has just sued him, in court, for defamation. And the details are stunning. Let's go back to where this story begins, because to understand how a prince ends up being sued by his own charity, you need to understand what Sentebale actually meant to Harry and how badly this whole thing fell apart. Harry co-founded Sentebale in 2006 alongside Prince Siso of Lesotho in memory of his mother Princess Diana, the woman who had walked through landmine fields, held the hands of AIDS patients when the world was too frightened to touch them, and spent her life using her platform for people who had none. The name Sentebale means forget-me-not in Sesotho, the local language of Lesotho, a pledge to remember the most vulnerable children in the region. That name was chosen deliberately, personally. It was not a PR exercise. It was a promise. The charity focused on supporting young people living with or affected by HIV in Lesotho and Botswana. For nearly 2 decades, it was one of the few things in Harry's public life that almost nobody criticized. Whatever you thought of the Oprah interview, whatever you thought of Spare, whatever you thought of Megxit, Sentebale felt real. It felt like his. And now, it is suing him. So what happened? Disagreements at the charity surfaced in 2023 over a new fundraising strategy. On the surface, that sounds bureaucratic. A board disagreement about money happens in charities all the time. But what followed was anything but routine. The charity's chair, Sophie Chandauka, later accused Harry of orchestrating a campaign of bullying and harassment to try to force her out. She didn't say it quietly either. She went to Sky News. She went on record. She accused a royal prince, a man who had spent years positioning himself as a champion of mental health and human dignity, of bullying behavior. She previously accused Harry of asking her to defend his wife Meghan from negative publicity, a request that reportedly came after an awkward situation involving the Duchess of Sussex at a charity event in April 2024. As the dispute unfolded, Chandauka told Sky News that filming for one of Harry's Netflix programs had interfered with a scheduled fundraiser for Sentebale, and that an incident with his wife Meghan became a source of friction. Think about what that means. A charity fundraiser meant to raise money for children living with HIV being disrupted by a Netflix camera crew following the Duke of Sussex. That is the image the charity's own chair put into the world. And it got worse. In March 2025, both Harry and Prince Siso stepped down his patrons, saying the relationship between the board and its chair had broken down beyond repair, creating an untenable situation. Harry called it unthinkable. He said he was in shock. He stepped away, he said, out of solidarity with the trustees who had already quit. But Chandauka had a completely different version of events. She said Harry's resignation had blindsided her and described it as an example of harassment and bullying at scale. She also alleged he had interfered with a whistleblower complaint she had filed against the charity, calling it a cover-up and saying the prince was involved. So now you have 2 completely opposite stories. A prince saying the chair was impossible to work with, a chair saying the prince was running a coordinated campaign to destroy her. Who was right? The Charity Commission for England and Wales investigated. They criticized both sides for allowing the dispute to play out in public and damaging the organization's reputation. But they found no evidence of widespread bullying or misogyny at Sentebale. You might think that would be the end of it. Investigation done, no bullying found, everyone walks away bruised but finished. It was not the end of it. On March 23, 2026, the lawsuit was filed in London's High Court, and on April 10, 2026, yesterday, it became public. Court filings show Harry and former trustee Mark Dyer named as defendants. While neither Harry nor Dyer made immediate public statements, Sentebale published a lengthy statement on its website identifying the 2 men as the architects of an adverse media campaign that had significant viral impact and triggered an onslaught of cyberbullying directed at the charity and its leadership. Read that again. The charity Harry founded to honor Princess Diana is accusing him of orchestrating a media campaign that caused cyberbullying against the very people running it. Sentebale said the charity seeks the court's intervention, protection, and restitution following what it calls a coordinated adverse media campaign conducted since March 2025 that has caused operational disruption and reputational harm to the charity, its leadership, and its strategic partners. This is not a small allegation. This is a formal legal claim filed in one of the most prominent courts in the world by a charity named after his mother against a prince who has spent years presenting himself as a victim of institutional power. Harry's response came quickly. A spokesperson for Harry and Dyer said the pair categorically reject these offensive and damaging claims. The statement added, "It is extraordinary that charitable funds are now being used to pursue legal action against the very people who built and supported the organization for nearly 2 decades, rather than being directed to the communities the charity was created to serve." That is a strong counterpunch, and it raises a legitimate question, because Sentebale confirmed the costs of the legal action are met entirely by external funding, and no charitable funds have been used. They clearly anticipated that argument and got ahead of it. Now, step back for a moment and look at the full picture, because the timing here is extraordinary. This lawsuit became public one day after Tom Bower's biography, Betrayal, was already dominating global headlines. In that book, as we covered in our last video, Bower details the collapse of Harry's relationship with the Sentebale chairwoman, including claims that donors and corporate sponsors withdrew because of the controversy surrounding Harry's media ventures. And now, less than 2 weeks after that book hit shelves, the lawsuit goes public. Prince Harry is currently dealing with all of this simultaneously, a bombshell biography painting him as someone who damaged a charity he founded, and an actual lawsuit from that same charity filed in the High Court. It is worth remembering what Sentebale was actually doing while all of this was playing out. The Charity Commission noted that Sentebale's problems jeopardized the charity's ability to deliver for the very beneficiaries it was created to serve. These are children living with HIV in some of the poorest communities in Southern Africa, children Harry promised when he chose the name Forget-Me-Not that he would never forget. That is the human cost sitting underneath all of this legal and royal drama. Now, the title question, the one that's dividing people online right now. Should Harry lose his title over this? Here's the honest answer. That's not a simple yes or no, however much the internet wants it to be. Harry retains the title Duke of Sussex. He's still technically His Royal Highness, though he does not use the HRD styling in his public life since stepping back from royal duties. King Charles has the power to strip titles. It has happened before in royal history, but it's an extraordinary step, rarely taken, and not one triggered automatically by a lawsuit, no matter how serious. What is true is this. Every one of these events, the biography, the Sentebale lawsuit, the Invictus controversy, the Netflix deals, the Spotify collapse, the Daily Mail court case, they're all accumulating around one man, a man who left the royal family saying he wanted to live a quieter, more authentic life away from the institution he said was destroying him. And instead, he's in more legal and public chaos than perhaps any royal in modern history. The charity named after his mother's favorite flower, the one that means forget-me-not. Right now, it's hard to forget any of it. Whether this lawsuit ends in settlement, in court, or simply adds another chapter to the endless Sussex saga, one thing is certain. The story of Prince Harry is nowhere near finished, and the next chapter, whatever it is, will be watched by the entire world. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Should Harry keep his title? Should the king step in? And if this video gave you the full picture, you know what to do.